Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. It's the HomeStory Cup lower bracket semi-finals. We've got Vitality Esports MARU in the top left side of the map. His opponent in the bottom right, it's SERRAL for Basilisk. It's going to be exciting to see what the heck goes on here between these two, as SERRAL historically has had his way with MARU. He has a massively favored win rate. Two players who dominated their regions of the world, SERRAL dominating Europe in 2018, MARU dominating Korea. And both of them being relatively dominant since then. Not winning every tournament, but winning a lot of them. Unfortunately, MARU outside of Korea has never been able to turn that into success. Or not never, but very rarely. Occasionally when he just hops over the pond, hops across, 1 hour time difference to China, he's won a big tournament or two there. It was the very start of 2018, just before SERRAL's year kicked off and MARU's year of dominance kicked off. It was at the start of that year, I believe, when they faced. It was technically the end of the 2017 WSG season. The Raven was incredibly broken at that time, so a lot of people, myself included, have discounted that win and said, oh, it doesn't count because you got to just make Thor Hellbat and spam Raven missiles at each other at that time to win. But MARU did win that tournament, and he's won, I think, one other overseas tournament as well. I believe it was also in China, though. I don't think he's won any tournaments outside of China or Korea, if memory serves. But, he's kind of had these moments where he blitzes through a bracket, wrecks everyone, and then the kind of curse has been, well, he gets to the finals and he falls apart, or he gets to this stage and he falls apart, and obviously letting his opportunity against Oliveira slip after Shin, Ragnarok at the time, beat SERRAL. It's probably the big thing that's going to haunt him for a while. The easiest run at a world championship, and he himself said in his interview with Crank afterwards, after he was obviously very upset, about a week later back in Korea, Crank interviewed him, and he said, hey, everyone said, hey, this is it. This is your world championship. None of these guys can beat you. Like, there's literally no way for you to lose this. Like, you're going to beat all these guys. And he said, yeah. And he kind of believed it, and he got a bit too excited because actually winning international tournaments in general has eluded MARU, let alone a world championship, which is so much more prestigious. And got kind of dumpstered by Oliveira. I think it was 4-1 if memory serves. Did a lot of things he normally just doesn't do in those games. Like, hearing him talk about those games makes me think of so many of my tournament experiences when I was first improving as a pro player, and then also these days when I'm so rusty that I kind of seesaw and make bad decisions in the heat of the moment. It's weird to hear a guy like MARU saying, oh yeah, normally I scout with my SCV to see if he's gone reactive first or not, but I forgot. So I didn't know, so I waited too long with my Reapers, and my Proxy Reaper didn't go in, and I lost. And you're just like, what? These are like really basic mistakes he made in that match. Obviously, their most recent run in between these two in the head-to-head was at Dallas, where SERRAL played some of the greediest builds we've ever seen a Zerg ever get away with. And MARU did nothing to punish it. And this is one of those same builds. SERRAL's only just started mining gas at 3.5 minutes. This is exceptionally greedy. No Ling speed, just queens and drones. If you don't get damage as MARU, or if you don't just like go super greedy, you're kind of screwed. He's got a Viking on the way, no Lib, no Banshee. I think it's fine to just go Hellion Reaper, but if he builds any more than 4 Hellions, he needs to kill some drones. The other big criticism Oliveira actually had of MARU after Dallas is that MARU's build orders did not look good. They almost weren't builds, was my criticism when I commentated that series. After the fact, after the event, going over those replays, was it just didn't feel like MARU's builds had a single edge to them, right? There was no gearing up for the late game greed very early. It was just the most standard TVZ you've ever seen up against highly specialized super greedy builds from SERRAL. And I mean, SERRAL also did some all-ins, right? Some big attacks, but every build from SERRAL was like, I'm either doing a really crisp roach push, or I'm doing a really greedy macro build, or some other thing that, like, you could really see the advantages and the tailor-made goals SERRAL was aiming for in Dallas. And MARU was just like, I was like, this is like watching a guide on how to play TVZ or something. So we can't see that standard play from MARU again. He's got 8 Hellions. He has to dive with these. If you just chill with 8 Hellions against this, it's quite bad. Now, he's gone for a Viking into a Liberator, so he's going to do the Liberator at the same time as this. I'd like to see him land the Viking. So if the Liberator goes in the main, maybe the Viking can go land in the natural, Hellions can dive the third. At the same time, double Engineering Bay before second and third barracks tells me he may be aiming for a... wait. Yeah, he may be aiming for an 8 racks with 2-2, because he wants 1-1 to finish and then to have 2-2 in time. Liberator comes in the main. Nice siege up. Going to get himself at least 1 drone. Might get a second. Oh, good spore trick there for SERRAL, though. And with the queen nearby, should be able to defend. Hellions on the front already taking some damage, and they are splitting. Bit of a misclick here for MARU. He's got to be careful. Lucky those Lings did not pounce on that. That is a lot of damage going down. Liberator's going to siege up behind the natural, but let's watch the Hellions. That's where the real damage could come in. Lings are going to block these Hellions with ease. MARU's Hellion usage was very poor here. And yes, the Liberator goes in, but the Viking doesn't pair up with it. He could have created a third bit of distraction to try and mentally and APM-wise overload SERRAL. Doesn't do it, doesn't take advantage of that. This Liberator could do a little more damage, but so far this looks like a fantastic hold for SERRAL. Remember what I said, SERRAL played an incredibly greedy build. MARU has committed a lot by going 8 Hellions and a Liberator, and he is simply not finding the damage. Liberator does go down. Lings are going to counterattack. There's 7 Marines. That's all there is. If the Lings get us around those Marines, he's screwed. MARU, though, lands the Viking, pulls the SCVs, and as long as he's wedged in a corner with those Marines, it's hard for the Lings to get on top. Nonetheless, 70 drones. The upgrades are, of course, the big problem for SERRAL, with Evo Chambers only now finishing, but he starts Carapace, and I think he's far enough ahead on the workers. He can handle being behind on those upgrades by, what is this, 100 seconds? 75. It's about 70 seconds, about a minute 10 advantage on the upgrades. Armory goes down for MARU. I do think MARU should go for 3 more barracks now. If he builds a 4th command center and a 2nd factory, I will be most displeased. I think this map is great for 8 racks, especially if you're building tanks. He goes 2nd factory. No, he's playing completely standard once again. This is MARU in a nutshell. He's playing completely standard. He keeps doing this, and I really would love to see him either rush a 4th command center before this 4th and 5th barracks went down. If he wants to play the late game, do that thing that Oliveira mentioned at Dallas. It's SERRAL. He's not a very aggressive player. You can get away with it. Or lean into the 8 racks and hit much harder. But MARU not learning his lessons from that tournament. And that's something I'll stand by. Obviously, we don't know how this series is going to go just yet, but I really feel like this looks great for SERRAL so far. He's up 20 workers. He's not taking damage. He's prepared for everything. And MARU's build, once again, has no sharp edges. There's nothing here that could catch SERRAL off guard. It is solid standard play, which against SERRAL is not what you want to do. SERRAL is so good at shutting down the standard aggression, taking a 4th, taking a 5th. Unless you have Clem levels of speed, you don't want to play this style of game. MARU, for those who don't know, as good as he is, has never had Clem's level of speed. Even at his best, before his injury, I never think MARU has been at that level. I don't think we've ever seen anyone at the level of Clem. Clem is truly a special player who does this incredibly fast play better than anyone else. SERRAL, we thought, was like a next generational speed player, so fast, so clean, so organized. But as Raynor came up and then Clem as well behind him, we've kind of just seen that there are new levels of it, with MaxPax being perhaps the only other player who looks like he has that same level of speed and organization. Raynor looks very fast, but I don't think Raynor has the same level of multitasking organization quite there of Clem and MaxPax right now. And maybe that's just because they practice a lot more than he does. Oh, the Widow Mine. Okay, he sets off one Baneling there to set off that Widow Mine. SERRAL's all over this. He's up 25 army supply. This looks exactly like Dallas. What I mean by that, guys, is it's 80 drones, and I'd love to hype this up more, but there is just nothing going for MARU right now. His 3 barracks just now building their tech labs. He's way down in supply, and if you remember Dallas, it would look like, okay, MARU's not getting that much done, but it could be okay, and then SERRAL would max out and just kill him with either Ultras or Vipers or something like that. They'd just be like, yeah, SERRAL, you know, being up in supply is scary. The drops are doing well, though. The Viking's still in the back. Another medevac with mines on that right side. Oh, careful. The Spore Crawlers do 20 damage a shot now, remember. They do a lot more damage, even though they are more fragile at 300 hit points. Widow Mine drop coming in on the right side as well. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. 2, 3 Widow Mines there. He's going to go for one on the high ground as well. Interesting. Not a bad shot. Does save that last Widow Mine. He's going to try and drop that elsewhere. But with 2 Queens in the mineral line, don't think there's too much chance of getting much done there. Overseer allows him to snipe it. And that medevac will go down on the left side. Marines come in again. MARU looking for some free trades, but loses a few Marines and a medevac, so not really very good value. You can see actually that SERRAL's only down 300 resources. He's got creep across 80% of the map, and this is the thing. I think MARU was afraid of giving up map control, which is why he played kind of standard, but he's given up map control nonetheless. 2 tanks, 9 Widow Mines, 33 Marines, 6 Marauders. Units on the left side getting overrun at the same time. SERRAL has the numbers advantage. His army supply is down, though, and big Widow Mines. Oh, MARU just landed some big Widow Mines. I can guarantee you, even without having a camera feed here on this cast, I can guarantee you SERRAL had a visible reaction to those Widow Mines, man. There was a lot of Zerg that just died there. And MARU takes a really good fight. He could use this to clear up the creep. I've been hating on MARU's position a little bit. Not really hating on, but you know, pointing out it's not very good. Now he's back in a decent spot. If he can hold this area on this high ground, but I don't think he can. There's no Widow Mines left. Marauders and Marines trying to spread backwards. There's so many Banelings. There's not many Marines left now. He's lost all of his firepower. He needs Marines to deal with those Zerglings. The Ling Bane pulls back for SERRAL. I don't even know if it needed to, but it is 80 workers for MARU, 98 for SERRAL. SERRAL has said, hey, if you're going to play a long, efficient style and not push me viciously, I can take my time. Now SERRAL's 2-2 is going to catch up. That last fight, those last two fights, he was behind, 1-1 to 2-2. Now he's even on upgrades. He's a bit happier to fight here. He does need to pull those Zerglings forward, trying to pull those Widow Mines away from his own units. He's got Adrenal Glands, Hydra upgrades coming in. SERRAL, a big fan of Hydras. I'm a big believer that Corruptors is the better choice. Even though they are more expensive, it gives you a much more dense, maxed out supply. Better for chasing down Medivacs, even though their DPS is a little lower, and you can't really use them to snipe Widow Mines. I think they can also drag Widow Mines over the enemy army as well. But that's something we'll have to explore at a later date. See if I can convince him next time I have a long chat with him, maybe look at some replays. Parasitic Bomb's going to have to go down on those Medivacs. Big Widow Mines smear on those Zerglings. Where's the Parasitic Bomb? No. Finally, one Parasitic Bomb goes off. MARU pretty quick, though, to split that one out because there's nothing else happening at the same time. Parasitic Bomb in isolation, not that effective. If you throw it while he's trying to frantically spread against Banelings, that's where the Parasitic Bomb can find the big damage. Ghost Academy goes down for MARU. Remember, in late game, Ghosts are now 3 supply. It's going to be tough up against things like Ultras. And yet SERRAL not even making the Ultras, just saying, screw it, Ling Bane Hydra's all I need. He's going to need to split his army half and half. Let's see how that army split goes. Ling Bane to the right side, Viper, Ling Bane, Hydra to the left. He's got a big drop getting ready to go into the main as well. When he defends this, he can load up, go inside the main base. Widow Mine lands a big smear on those Zerglings. And the Hydra's going to push him back as well. The Medivacs will fly past the Dropper Lords. MARU should know what's happening, and he's going to unload in his own main base to heal, build some turrets at the same time. Definitely worthwhile to make sure SERRAL cannot unload there. Lurker Den's on the way. We know SERRAL's late game is Nidus Lurker oriented at the moment. A lot of players have been believing in that in a while, but especially with Rogue recently causing problems for all of the top Terrans. Even though the rest of Rogue's play doesn't look anywhere near on the level of someone like SERRAL right now, his late game Nidus shenanigans have been really inspiring. Marine Marauder Medivac pulling back, big spreadies, but there's just not enough Terran on the dance floor. The Banelings, though, are suicide units. They do not come back after going down, but look, SERRAL's lava count. He has so many Zerglings in production, 76 building right now. Frenzy comes in on the Hydras to try to disengage. The Marauders are still here. If you can get rid of these Medivacs, it's big, but you do not want to lose these Hydras. SERRAL needs to wait for more Zerglings. If you could get rid of these Reddit point Medivacs and keep the hatchery alive, it would be absolutely massive. A Viper coming in, all the Medivacs deep in the red, and a lot of those Medivacs do go down. Really nice victory for SERRAL. MARU's been trailing for most of this game. He's ahead a few thousand resources in the units lost, but against a 98, now 95 drone Zerg, that's not going to be enough, mate. Viper's going to come in, abduct one of the siege tanks. It'll get taken out, and SERRAL, usually one to just kill a unit, run away, doesn't want to risk anything. Borrowed Zerglings denying a 5th base. You can see MARU's naturals mostly mined out. His 3rd and 4th base are both starting to get a little lower, while SERRAL, he's got a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th base, all mining. 7 base versus 4 base, as well as being up a bunch of workers. That's going to feel very good for the Zerg, who's now got +3 carapace. That's the most important thing. +3 weapons counted by +3 carapace. It's going to make those Marines and Marauders nowhere near as effective. All of those upgrade gains that he's had earlier are now gone. Now, as you see this expansion on the right going down, you can imagine MARU's going to put most of his forces here, but he's still going to press this area. Is SERRAL. Banelings trying to spread, not really getting any good hits. EMPs on those Vipers as well. Snipe goes down as well. Damn, dude, very nicely played. The base does get denied. SERRAL can afford a few wasteful trades, but I was going to say, you can imagine most of MARU's army will focus on the right to secure the new base. While he's securing that, you should absolutely be hitting his 3rd, and MARU's going to double expand. This is the dumbest move I've ever seen. Oh, MARU, why does he do this? Do you guys remember a few years ago I was casting a game on like Berlingrad or something where MARU did the exact same thing. Same thing on Babylon against SERRAL. He keeps doing this. You cannot double expand against a Zerg on 2 opposite sides of the map. It gives the Zerg easy attack avenues. Look, his whole army moves to the bottom left because he thinks SERRAL's going to move there. SERRAL moves to the top right and has an easy target. You are presenting 3 targets to the Zerg right now. I will be absolutely brutal every time I see a Terran expand to 2 extreme fronts. That is crazy. Even the 5th base on its own would have been hard to defend, and his 3rd. But expanding to this base and the one at the top, really bad move, because you lose a command center. Yes, you snipe a hatchery as MARU, but SERRAL's happy with that trade. He's got so many more bases, and now he can swing into this planetary on the right side, would actually be the most undefended area for MARU, or hit his production. There's just that one tank on the high ground that's guarding him. SERRAL being very patient as always. Raynor would already be up in there, just taking advantage of your poor positioning. But SERRAL, more patient. He's going to wait for the slower, more careful, calm opportunity. He just tried to burrow to dodge that. Guys, he just tried to burrow to dodge the Widow Mine. For those who don't know, if you burrow a unit, only the splash damage will be taken from the Widow Mine, not the direct damage, which means the Hydra would have been left in half-life if he got it in time. That Widow Mine does take out a bunch of Ling Bane. SERRAL's taking a few nasty Widow Mines this match. Nidus Worm in the main base is going to go up in there. Where the hell are we? MARU, he needs to load up units to get in that main. He's going to load Marines to go back. But look, Parasitic Bomb on the front as well. MARU getting overloaded. SERRAL's trying to probe him at the front. Here we go, Lurkers and Lings. Actually, Lings are about to pop out. A budget Nidus Worm. I love it. Ling Bane Hydra rolls the front at the same time. It's so hard for MARU to defend. But look at that. Nice snipes. Does get only one of the Hydras as Frenzy pushes them out of there. Lings in the main base. Going to try and roam around. Maybe burrow here, there, and everywhere. Seeing what problems he can cause. MARU barely hanging on to a 5th base right now, but it is established. He needs to stop trying to take this top right base, though. This is a fundamental strategic issue. You cannot expand to opposite sides of the map at the same time unless you are Clem. You have the Zerg on like 10% of the map covered in creep. The Zerg is stuck in their corner. If the Zerg's stuck in their corner, you've got 2 squads on their doorstep sieging them with multi-prong. That's the one time in TVZ you are allowed to take a base on 2 sides of the map at once. MARU's already made this mistake once. If he just makes this into a planetary or an orbital, pulls it back, he's fine. He has to just turtle and survive right now and focus on denying this bottom left and then securing this base for himself. Big thank you, Upper Tree, Sal, for the raid. Hope you're having a great day. Guys, these 3 supply ghosts, they're going to get pushed back here. The Baneling's just going to click on the planetary. They're getting stuck on that. They do get a 2-for-1 command center value deal there. The building command center and the planetary both go down. Ling Bane rolling forward. MARU's pullbacks are pretty decent. But remember, he's been behind this entire game. One of the big problems MARU has, guys, and we've talked about this before, is he has 2 extreme strengths in StarCraft 2. Early game and late game. His mid game is not on par with your SERRALs, your Clems, your Rainas, your Darks even. You know, your Max Maxes. He's got amazing late game, so he's taking good fights now, but he's doing it from an inferior position. Good counterattack for him. He's got to try and be careful, though, because SERRAL's got that remax potentiality. SERRAL's still got bank behind this. There's not enough units down here. There's no Widowmine supporting. All of his important ghosts and medevacs get caught out, and MARU is going to go down. SERRAL with the trading just way too close there, 2,000 apart. I think MARU honestly played pretty well considering in terms of how he used his units. I think it's just so hard to come back. If you go 8 Hellions, a Viking, a Lib, and you kill like 3 drones in the early game, you get all your Hellions surrounded by Lings. He did so little damage. That is hard to recover against anyone, let alone against SERRAL. We saw the effects of that with creep being 70% of the way across the map from early on. And if they've got their creep that far across, what are you going to do? Basically turtle up and hope for the best fights of all time. And he was getting really good defensive fights, but I mean, the map architecture in general, even if he doesn't make the mistake that I talked about with taking both 5th base locations at once, I don't know if he'd be able to defend even one of them. Because, I mean, this is obviously the base he should have taken. Do you guys, let me just explain that very quickly before we go to game 2. This base is vulnerable because it's an orbital. Even if you have a tank on the high ground, it's still vulnerable to run bys. This base is a planetary. It's much more defended. It's still vulnerable once your opponent can just roll 30 Banes in and click on it, but that's a much more expensive move. So generally you want to expand in front of the more vulnerable base, the 3rd base, with the 5th, and really try and center your defense around that. Or if you want to focus, just take this base is fine, but then you're going to need to just make sure you leave a few more like tanks and Widow Mines and maybe sensor towers out front and stuff, and just be ready to always... You can do it actually this way, where you expand to this base up here. But then you're basically saying every time a run-by comes and you see it with the sensor tower, you see Ling Bane and stuff, you lift the base, run the SCVs, and you just, you know, abandon the infrastructure down here. The only problem is your second factory is exposed on the low ground, and that reactor factory is very important. Really nice game for SERRAL, though. Once again, he got away with extreme greed, and this is the thing MARU's going to have to dissect in the rest of this series. If the Zerg doesn't start mining gas for such a long time, you got to be really punishing him. I mean, he did make Ling Speed, actually. I kept saying he didn't have Ling Speed. Apparently, I'm crazy, guys. This is a bad cast. This is my first cast of the day. Wow, that's embarrassing. He did actually mine for Ling Speed. I thought he skipped Ling Speed. You know what happens? Sometimes I forget to check in the early stage when I'm talking about the past of the players. And then what I do is I look at the Zerglings right around here. Like, I'll have like the unit tab open or the APM or whatever. I probably had production tab. You guys are probably looking at it. I was probably just talking about nonsense. And I'll look at the Zerglings and be like, oh yeah, they don't have Ling Speed. And then I'll like swap over just as Ling Speed finishes, and I'll miss this giant thing on the right side because I'm just talking about random stuff to do with the player's history and the backstory. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, he skipped Ling Speed. That's crazy. No, he actually did have link speed this game. This wasn't as greedy as those other openings. I guess this was more of just a classic hatch gas pool. Yeah. Cool. GG, well played. Let's go game 2. All right, guys. MARU's down in the bottom left of Ultra Love, SERRAL in the top right, and some pretty bad commentary. I'm not sure how much we'll leave in the YouTube video, but for those who aren't watching on Twitch, yeah, SERRAL did have link speed at a very normal, fast timing. It was a 28 third hatch. It was actually the most generically standard kind of old school hatch gas pool build that there is for SERRAL. So my bad on the commentary in that last one. It's still obviously kind of like standard greedy play, whereas I was making out in the commentary that whole game that it was super greedy play because he skipped link speed and delayed it, didn't mind gas till 3.5 minutes. That was when he was putting back on gas. He actually did make link speed, and I was obviously just a little bit caught up in explaining the players' backstories and their history and stuff at international events to pay attention to the giant link speed pop up on the right side of the screen. So my bad with the commentary there. I do apologize. I'm sure there's already a lot of comments down below going, idiot, he made link speed. And yeah, you guys are right. He did. Now, that being said, 8 Hellions and a lib for, I think it was 5 drones and a little bit of mining time. Very bad start for MARU. I think he only got 1 Overlord as well, maybe 2 with the Viking, which, whilst not terrible, is not really what you're looking for. So it was a rough start for MARU. And he did find himself behind from there. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, the direction of what I was explaining with the commentary from then on, it was still, you know, on the mark. I was just exaggerating a little bit more than the reality because I didn't realize link speed was made at a normal timing. So this kind of goes to show the confidence. SERRAL very rarely opens standard hatchcast pool against Clem because playing standard against Clem is just a death sentence for most players, SERRAL included. But against against MARU, SERRAL feels confident doing this. He's just like, yeah, I'm not really worried about you, you know, and that makes sense. Likewise, I like that MARU's not worried about any aggression. No SCV scout. He's just going to let his Reaper go across and see what SERRAL's up to, which I think is perfectly fine. I do sometimes wonder, you know, if there's room to do like a Marine opening rather than Reaper first. I know that creep can get out of control if you don't go Reapers early, but you can get an earlier factory. Like, I really do wonder if we could see a bit more creativity and experimentation. Keep in mind, for those who haven't seen these players in a while and we're going, oh, what have they both worked on since the World Cup? You know, what have they both worked on? I don't think they've worked on much. I'm going to be brutally honest. This is the first tournament. It's a pretty important tournament compared to all the smaller events, but it's not, you know, nowhere near as important in terms of prize money compared to a World Cup or any of the other big premier $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 prize tournaments that are out there. Oh my gosh. Ooh, good sport tricks. But yeah, wow, nice harassment for MARU. Forces 2 sport tricks. SERRAL does have his third base up nice and early, and he actually once again got a very quick link speed, so incredibly safe play. My point being, the guys have all been on break. They had the World Cup. There was no announcement. There still is no announcement of what the next season is going to include when it all kicks off. EWC is at the moment announcing the games in their lineup, so hopefully we get some announcement about StarCraft in the next 2 weeks, as they are announcing, I believe, 1 game a day for 2 weeks straight. So yeah, I don't think the players have practiced. I think they've taken some much needed time off. I do think in a month, in 3 months, in 4 months, my eyes will be on MARU and saying, you know, do you still have passion for this game? Are you willing to develop and do creative things and try different things and find a way to dissect? Or are we just going to accept that, okay, I'm going to be a top 8 guy or a top 4 guy, but I'm never going to beat SERRAL? You know, because like for me, that's what our eyes are on. I don't think we're going to see anything too revolutionary in this series from how he's playing so far. It does seem pretty straightforward. Interesting. Viking. Oh, linger on by. Okay, 1 SCV already goes down. He's going to go Viking for 2 games in a row, trying to deny scouting. Oh, the SCV hides in the gas. That was cute, but dude, he just doesn't have any firepower here. Oh, man. A small run by wrecking him. His Hellions were walled out from getting to the low ground. 5 SCVs? That's devastating. That's terrible, guys. That is an insane amount of damage for this early in the game. I mean, going Viking is kind of like the standard, I'm going to deny scouting and try to be a bit greedy response, but he's going to go Lib again. He's doing the same build 2 games in a row. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. This looks like MARU's prepared nothing for SERRAL in this tournament. And I think that's always going to favor SERRAL, right? SERRAL's playing really standard, so is MARU. This feels like practice games. Yeah. SERRAL finished his military service, I believe, soon after the World Cup, guys. Don't think they have to do too long military service in Finland. I could be wrong on that. Maybe someone can verify. Gets an Overlord, though. Nice snipe for MARU. Yeah, I just feel like when you look at the history, SERRAL being the favorite, The only special source he's done so far is that little Ling run by. He's just playing very straight up, very standard. So is MARU. But MARU is committing quite hard to the Hellion lib. At least he's still gone 8 Hellions yet again. It's a massive Hellion count against a guy like SERRAL. I feel like your best bet here is to save those for a follow-up tank push. This time you've gone second and third barracks before Engineering Bay, more of a standard follow-up. You do have the option to do like a 1-1 Marine tank push, and if you save the Hellions and morph them all into Hellbats, they actually really help with a push. If you can like just pick away creep, maybe get a queen or two, maybe get a few Zerglings, but you do not want to throw these Hellions away. For MARU, it's all about preserving the units and getting as much done as you can. Oh, that Spore does so much damage now. Look at that. Queen's there as well with the Spore Crawler there. I mean, the Queen can tank a few shots. Yeah, look at that. Liberator's shut down already. So Liberator achieves nothing. You've really got to be watching the Lib when it goes in. You cannot afford to fly over a Spore Crawler. Even pre-patch, at the very top, Clem would always steer around the Spore Crawler to make it as annoying as possible. And even then, Clem would only use a Liberator like 1 in 6 games, 1 in 7 games. It's like not something that's as reliable. Viking landing in the main. He's doing the 3-prong pressure we're talking about, but he doesn't actually shift-click it in range. Liberator does get itself a few drones, but it goes down. Hellions at the same time coming in there. Viking comes in, but it's fighting a Queen. It's not focus fired on the drones. And a Queen, I believe, barely beats that Viking. Yeah, Viking's going to try and fly away. At least it survives, so it can keep kind of pushing away other stuff. But only a few drones, 2 drones. This is the SERRAL defense we know and love. His 4th base is almost up, and he's already got his 1-1. Faster? No, his 1-1 is ahead of the 1-1 of MARU. Oh, those 5 SCVs ruining MARU's build. MARU's down 22 workers. His 3rd's just landed against a 4th that's already getting saturated for Zerg. It's game over. Is it? Man, this is not very high. The reason I'm casting this on my best games of StarCraft Day is because it's MARU and SERRAL, and it is such a rivalry that has turned into a nemesis. You know, there was a big argument that MARU is just a better player than SERRAL, and there's still people to this day who will argue that because, you know, Zerg is overpowered. But I think, honestly, after last season's map pool, which was the most Terran-favored map pool we've had in this matchup in a long time, and SERRAL dominating MARU on that map pool multiple times, I think it's hard to really bring balance into excuses if you want to make the MARU's better than SERRAL argument. Viking does go down. I think it's, you know, it's getting to that stage where it's more just, you know, how can a player have such a problem with SERRAL? How is SERRAL so perfect at stopping MARU's style? And I think it's because MARU, like I said, he has extreme strengths, extreme early game strength, and like really good early timing pushes that he can do. SERRAL's so defensively safe and secure and always scouts really well, so he's kind of not immune, but almost impervious to most of those attacks, right? Well, what's your other big strength? Late game. SERRAL's also the best late game Zerg. The difference is SERRAL's, you know, really good in the mid game as well, but MARU does struggle to keep up with the sort of like multi-prong and the creep control, and SERRAL's able to work those advantages like spreading creep everywhere and that sort of stuff. Something which Clem's able to keep him restricted on because Clem's just so freakishly fast, and MARU doesn't seem to have that ability. But playing from here, MARU has to use Ultra Love's choke points now. Take a 4th, take a 5th, camp, and show us that late game prowess! Oh, Marines moving into Ling Bane, doesn't save any of them. A few Hellbats and a tank hanging out here. The tank positioning is good. I don't think SERRAL can just roll in and kill him, even though he's up 22 army supply right now. SERRAL's going to go for an infestation pet. He's got the faster 2-2, and he's still going back to droning. 5th base in the top left, creep spreading across this big map. And for MARU, being forced to turtle means letting SERRAL just spread. He's going to spread those creep tumors everywhere. It's going to be a very fertile map for Zerg. 2 factories in the main. A few turrets on that left side. I don't know if I care too much about these turrets. I feel like you want to take this 5th base, so you kind of would rather just have the turrets down here to stop Overseers getting in and the like. Likewise, you want to get 1 turret down here at some point on that 4th, but just clearing up creep here with a few Marines pulling back. And MARU has to max out. Now, a mistake MARU's made sometimes when he plays SERRAL is he stops building Marines here and Marauders, and he just starts like basically going, oh, I'm at 170 supply, let's just build command centers. He needs to keep that production tab full of Marines. He needs to keep building Marines. If SERRAL just goes, he might kill you. Like, MARU is basically relying on SERRAL not pushing. He's only building 4 Marines at a time right now, so he's not using all of his barracks. He's not maxed out. He's building 3 more barracks. He's still building more medevacs. Like, 8 medevacs should be enough. Vehicle weapons coming in as well. SERRAL's going to go for 6 Overlords. He's going to try and drop that main base. Luckily, some turrets did come up. Big Ling Bane army on the right. Big Ling Bane army on the left. Those rocks got collapsed. He's going to have to come in from this side. Single Widow Mine, we'll see it coming. MARU needs to keep his army split. His whole mobile army's on one control group. You can see from the way it's moving around. Oh, this is going to get nasty. It's all about surviving right now. MARU is just not producing. He's just not producing right now. MARU needs to max out. But he's just building Widow Mines, and he wants to finish maxing out on Ghosts. This is scary. He's on 82 workers, which is already pretty high. He's dropping some Marines in the main base. The mass Ling drop goes towards the main. SERRAL turns around, though. He's going to try and stim on that. Is MARU. SERRAL maybe getting a bit too fancy on the right side. Widow Mine. Wow, that's a lot of dead Zerglings. Doesn't even matter, though. The Baneling's going to roll this side. The Lings on the left getting ruined by the Hellbats, but the Planetary, of course, will go down to the Zerglings, as will the building command center next to it. And these Overlords are going to pull back. SERRAL's happy to take this trade. Remember, he is rich right now. Oh my gosh, that Widow Mine just killed 14 Banelings. Dude. Not the most efficient trading. I can't believe SERRAL didn't kill his command center either. MARU's going to take a few more fights like this. SERRAL just threw away a lot of resources. And MARU's adding Ghosts. He's got 3-3 on the way, not too far behind the +3 carapace. SERRAL's attacks are not looking that smooth. This is interesting, man. This is so fascinating seeing these guys come off the off-season. And it feels like it is a slightly different caliber of play, right? They're playing very well. They're still very good players. But it does feel like they're both playing a bit more standard, a little bit less like tight on everything. And you can kind of see the level of difference after a few months off StarCraft on a new patch, on new maps they haven't been playing on for a year straight, you know? It does make a difference. Overlord's going to come down, maybe try and spot for a Nidus Worm in the main base. No Nidus Worm ready just yet. +1 ranges on the way, Adrenal Glands, and those Hydra upgrades. Oh, watch out! That Widow Mine! Oh, boom. That one does spread, though, on the second one. Well done. Couple of Hellbats here. Hard to engage into Hellbats and tanks. Tank-friendly fire actually kills that last Widow Mine. A few units coming over to the right side. Gonna get down towards these watchtowers. Looking to counter-attack the right side is MARU, but SERRAL's just going to YOLO. Blinding Clouds all over the siege tanks. Oh, click on the orbital. If he clicks on the orbital, it's dead. Click on the orbital with the Baneling, SERRAL. Yeah, he gets it. MARU should have lifted that base, but he doesn't because he's trying to multitask. He loses 18 workers and an orbital command center. Medevac's picking up. They're going to try and drop past here. SERRAL trying to defend on that right side, and I think he's in perfect position to do so. 2 queens and a spore on that right side. The Medevac has to pull back, and he's going to try and unload here, but I think getting a bit too fancy for his own good. MARU needs a new command center here. He needs to be repairing this depot, which he is going to do now as well, and he's going to need to really play a very careful, safe game. You know, spreading tanks and libs across these 4 bases, slowly taking a 5th base. It's what he's got to do right now. Baneling takes out 2 Widow Mines. Lovely play for SERRAL. Hatchery on the right side, still under threat. MARU's looking for the trades, does not pick up in time. Widow Mine gets a decent hit. Marauder tanks the Baneling, and the Marines try to redrop, but too many Zerglings are on top. 3-3 right now coming in for MARU. SERRAL's already had +3 carapace for a little bit, so he is ahead on those upgrades. He's only +2 melee, but +2 range coming in as well. Bio Ghost on the left side. Widow Mine's trying to burrow. Oh my gosh. Widow Mine's not really able to land the big money shots that he was looking for despite having Drilling Claws. Maybe just a second too late on that burrow. Looks like a single dropship going to this right side. MARU's already probably told that to unload. No, he's going to steer it around. It's being tracked by the Zerglings, so he's going to try and hide that drop as best he can. Remember, Ghosts are now 3 supply. Terran's maxed out army is going to struggle. We really wondered what, as well, that Ghost change would do in late game to MARU's confidence. Does he change his style or not? Seems like MARU's playing the exact same style he was playing pre-patch, which is a heavy worker count, sort of mass expand, rather slow transition to Ghosts. He's not really turtling to mass orbital. He's still trying to play more of a kind of late mid-game style and adding the Ghost just as a sort of supporting unit. But look at that Ling Bane count. Oh my lord. So much Ling Bane. Parasitic bombs go down on top of the Medevacs. It's so hard to deal with. There's just not many Widow Mines with this army. His bio pulls back very well though. Good spread. He's honestly, I thought he was going to get completely wrecked by that amount of Ling Bane. But the Ghosts all survive on the right side. The Overseers all go down. Units lost have 7,000 in favor of MARU. Widow Mine gets 13 kills over there as well. Tank in the natural. He's going to get jumped on by the Zerglings. No, it's not. Wow, I thought it was blocking the depot from raising, but MARU says, I never block myself from getting it up. Marine in the choke point here. Hydra's going to take care of that bad boy. SERRAL on 92 workers. MARU on 68. MARU is still in an incredibly fragile situation. 8,000 resources ahead. But you can see, yes, he's maxed. He doesn't have much bank, though. He needs to keep building command centers and keep finding good fights. And I think, honestly, he's doing a pretty good job of it right now. But SERRAL, down 30 army supply, has a lot of banelings, 37 banelings. If you're not careful with having your whole army together, you can get in trouble. A lot of his units are spread elsewhere. MARU caught on the edge of creep. It feels like only a small portion of his army's here. I mean, that just didn't look like that much Terran. I think a lot of his army is spread across all of his bases. He was up 25, 30 army supply. Now he's just barely even. Planetary Fortress under assault. Banelings rolling in right now. Where is the rest of this army for MARU? He cannot be affording to lose this base. SERRAL gets a base snipe that I do not think he should have been able to get. Oh, Burrowed Baneling as well. Very cute there for SERRAL. He's going to, I don't know, he could detonate it on the Ghost to damage them, I guess. Not going to do too much. MARU's going to try to counterattack. He says, okay, you just expended a whole bunch of Banelings. I'm going to counterattack. Right now, the income, though, 2,000 in favor of SERRAL. This base is down. He's going to need to float something out here. He's floating his main down to retake this base on the right side. Like I said, MARU does not have mass command center. He doesn't have all that stuff going for him. He's going to take this base down in the bottom right. SERRAL, his bank is not that high. He's on 96 workers, though, so his income is absolutely insane. The bio's in a pretty good position. This feels like a terrible attack angle for SERRAL, but SERRAL cancels the hatchery, drops some parasitic bombs, finally realizes attacking around a corner like this is a bad idea. And he does back away. A few medevacs do get popped by the parasitic bomb. I like MARU's position on this area. I do think he should be careful about moving too much of his army out into this open part, though. This is a rather wide open choke point. He's going to have to keep his units pre-spread, keep those Widow Mines guarded by the Marine Marauders. This is a good setup for MARU. That's going to be hard for SERRAL to engage into. Vipers coming forward. This hatchery looks like it might go down as well. Snipes on the Overseers. MARU enacting a harsh tax on SERRAL right now. But remember, SERRAL's got the income coming in. If he can hold this attack, MARU is running out of money. MARU's income is low right now, and there's Nidus Worms in his main base right now. Nidus Worms popping out lurkers inside his main base. The last ghosts barely hold the line. One of the Banelings detonates, does take out that ghost. Lurker goes down. MARU defends his main base. MARU fighting so well. And this is what we're talking about with MARU, guys. This is looking like a classic, actually, MARU versus Raynor match. He just gets way behind in the early and mid game, and then he fights back from behind like a beast. And this is where MARU excels. This is where MARU is arguably the best player in the world in pretty much every single matchup. When it comes to late game, the longer it drags on, he's a beast, but he still has very little room for error. He's up 20 army supply, though, and he sends a Liberator to the top left side of the map. If SERRAL isn't watching, you get the Queen. This is huge. He's going to get the Queen. The Queen does not move in time. SERRAL's in trouble. He loses the Queen over there as well. Oh, this Liberator harass is massive, but look at that. Lurkers coming in on that left side. MARU needs to split his army right now. He needs to split army to deal with that. Oh, that base will get taken down. Liberator up there goes down. Liberator there goes down to the Spore Crawler as well. Widow Mines are scattered. MARU's just going to push the right side. Rather than defend his left, he's going to push. A bit of a wild choice. He is up 20 armies, but he stims his whole army and runs on creep. He's got to be careful here. Hatchery goes down, but he's so far forward. MARU, a whole pack of Ghosts and Marauders run forward on creep and get hammered. Now his Widow Mines aren't being guarded by the bio, so the Widow Mines only get a small shot. A bad fight for MARU. The pressure of those lurkers on that left side distracting him. He was microing a Liberator over here. Liberator, it looks like it did kill a lurker or two. SERRAL's going to keep that going, though. SERRAL did lose this base on the right side. This is neck and neck right now. SERRAL's bank is gone except for the gas, but MARU is now down in army supply. MARU is trying to push in the Fungal Hydraling. Is there enough to kill this army? If you can catch these Marauders, this is massive for SERRAL. But a nice pickup and a hot save there for MARU. MARU losing money over here. Liberator's going to be trying to take care of these lurkers. SERRAL's micro is so annoying. Refusing to let these units go down. He's going to hit another base as well. Oh, you need more than one Liberator to deal with this. These SCVs going down here as well. The lurkers being such a nuisance to deal with. Liberator finally kills one of the lurkers. Those guys just run away and hide, though. And so difficult for him to deal with. Finally, a snipe goes down. On the right side, though, if you lose this base, remember it's an orbital. SERRAL, if he dives in that base right now, it's wide open. He doesn't realize it's wide open. SERRAL, he's going to pounce, and this is a disaster for MARU. If those SCVs can escape, gets the command center lifted, maybe he can defend this. But MARU right now frantically trying to hang on in a game that has gone from what looked like it was going to start to be just a terrible start to a series for MARU. MARU showing his pedigree, his ability to fight back from behind. And this is what's so bloody impressive about MARU. SERRAL has mined his side of the map out mostly. There's a bunch of half mineral bases. This base and this base need to be defended. Losing that hatchery was huge because it was one of his fresh bases. SERRAL still has more money right now. If MARU can get one more good fight, it's good. He doesn't have any Widow Mines on the front, though. No Widow Mines. Good split on the parasitic bomb, but another one goes down on the right side as well. Medevacs are dropping like flies. He has no Widow Mines here. Uh-oh. It feels like MARU's army is just so small right now. Where's the income at? And MARU is gonna tap out. He just feels he doesn't have the numbers. A bit of an anticlimactic moment to leave the game. Let's just check the situation there. I mean, he doesn't have much army to be spoken of. A few Marines, a few Ghosts, a few Marauders, a couple Medevacs, 6 Mines, 1 Liberator. He's not in a good spot. SERRAL still had enough money coming in at that stage. 2,900 minerals a minute to his 2,400. You weren't going to be able to push here. SERRAL was going to be able to keep mining this top left, keep mining this base, and even defending this planetary on the left was going to be tough. I don't think this is a crazy time to leave. I really think that shove onto creep there, as well as that lurker harass, got SERRAL back in the game. When he caught the Ghosts there and the Marauders just too far forward, and the Widow Mines were over here, I think this was a crucial moment where MARU was so close to getting back in this game. I'll show you. This is the moment. Notice how he just moved too far forward, and if you look at MARU's camera, I think he's clearly looked away here. Yeah, he looks away at the worst possible time, because like he just glanced over there at the lurker lid, and all these Ghosts and Marauders up front. And then because he's lost all of his bio, so the way Widow Mines work, guys, is Widow Mines are most effective when they have bio, Ghost, Marauder spread around them. But because there's nothing shooting down these front Zerglings, look at these Widow Mine shots. That one was okay. These ones hit like 2 to 3 Zerglings each. And that's what happens, whereas if you've got Marines and Marauders and Ghosts spread around them, you're killing those front Zerglings. The Widow Mines go, oh, my target died, and they change targets, and they will automatically get shots in the center of the Ling Bane that do more damage. But SERRAL distracting with the Lurkinitis, being really annoying, and he does manage to close out this game. I think, though, he'll probably be a bit frustrated because SERRAL was, once again, very far ahead in the early stages, and I think he's going to be wanting to finish things off a bit cleaner. He was up like 30 army supply. If he looks at this replay, he's going to be frustrated that MARU made it this close over a 19-minute game. Really well played, almost comeback for MARU, but at the end of it, we're still at a 2-0 scoreline for SERRAL. All right, nice to see MARU with some fight in him. If we can just see some... I want to see MARU go all in. I want to see like a creative build-up, low ground depot. I love it. I don't think 2x Reaper is very good for this map, but I'd love to see a single barracks expand, battle cruiser opening, some Hellbat, something to do something crazy. I have had some people tell me, by the way, guys, as we're on Abyssal Reef, SERRAL in the top left, that battle cruisers are way better now. Because Spore Gorillas only have 300 hit points, so you Yamato it, and then it only has 60 hit points. You kill it in like 2 seconds after Yamatoing the Spore. Problem, you can still transfuse them, and they do way more damage. They kill a battle cruiser in like 14 less shots or something. Like, they do a lot of damage, so I don't know how this actually lines up. Now, SERRAL's going to go pull first. I think he's maybe worried about a proxy barracks, and if he goes for like an early Roach push, and MARU's like just doing a single barracks Marine expand or something and trying to snipe the Overlord, he could be really screwed here. Gas goes down after hatchery. This looks like it's going to be just 2 Zerglings. He could still do a Roach pressure, but we'll see. SERRAL might even not build any Zerglings. He might just go Queen and just play a macro build, and it's just safety. Let's see, Zerglings. Yep, 2 Zerglings, a Queen. Pull 2 workers off minerals onto gas right now. So he pulls 1, and then he pulls another one off here as well. No, only 2 on... Okay, he's not building a Roach Horn. He's chilling. SERRAL's just chilling, guys. He builds the Overlord before. No Roach Horn. He's just going to go across with 2 Zerglings. It is indeed a 2 Marine opening. The question for MARU is, can he find this Overlord? Because this Overlord's coming in on a very safe direction. If he brought the Overlord in from this side, towards like that pillar, you might be able to get it. But on this left side, I don't think MARU can catch it, because he can always just hide down here to the south. MARU... He saw the Overlord! Oh, he's a little bit slow. He's going to try and get down there. I think that Overlord's safe, as long as he goes left. So only 1 Marine can shoot you. As long as you get out of range of 1 Marine, then you should be able to cover the distance to the dead space. Yeah, you see the other Marine's like, please come back over here. MARU's not going to get the kill, man. Just watch. It's going to survive on like 26 life. Oh, even more than 26. Wow. Pig, you suck at figuring things out. 2 Zerglings are going to come in. Factory on the natural. The Zergling split into the base. Second gas on the way as well. I like that MARU's playing a bit creatively, throwing some different builds at SERRAL, you know, making it so he's got to think and react. Yeah, MARU's a king of early game. He's a king of late game. Honestly, I would rather see him just play to late game, because SERRAL is so conservative, and we never, ever see MARU just take a quick 4th command center and play to late game turtle. Like, if he just played to late game turtle, I honestly think he would be so hard for SERRAL to beat. But, he's never really done it. Oliveira's done it before and had very good games with both SERRAL and Raynor. But MARU's range seems to be super standard play and super cheesy, or super cheesy openings into super standard play. Oh, I love this high ground Zergling. That the Marines do not realize they're being watched right now, guys. Hellions coming forward behind those 2 Marines. The 2 Marines are going to try and push the Overlord back. SERRAL surprisingly not pulling the Overlord back. I guess his Queens can defend it, but he's got 1 Queen there ready to block those Hellions from driving up. Just 1 Queen goes forward. Hellions and Marines, as long as MARU pulls back the weak Marine. Pulls it back a little bit late. You can see that guy just gets yeeted. Ling speed's almost done. 8 more Zerglings are coming out, which should be able to shut this down. Cloaked Banshee coming in quickly behind this for MARU. Now remember, with this build, MARU does not have a 3rd and 4th gas yet. But most importantly, his 3rd command center is delayed about 1 minute and 10 seconds from a normal 3cc build. So he's really got it. Oh, he can't be losing Hellions, but look at that. That's good for him. Gets himself a Zergling, damages the rest of them. And he was looking for the drone as it was popping out, but the Queen comes forward, ferries that drone back to the minerals. And SERRAL. What's so good about SERRAL is he will adjust to these aggressive build orders, and he won't get supply blocked. Never. Whereas Dark always gets supply blocked against this sort of build that forces you to play a different style. 2 Marines are going to come down, get the Overlord kill. Nice catch for MARU. But the Cloaked Banshee has been spotted. So SERRAL's just going to build spores in each base. Should be building them now. It's already 4.5 minutes. SERRAL? Dude, he's delaying his spores to 4:35. He builds a single spore in the natural. Now he builds one in the 3rd as well. He's completely skipping the one in his main because he knows that's the last spot the Banshee will get to. But remember, he knows it's been a double gas build, so he should know there's no 3rd command center, which just means the cloak kicks in earlier, which is why this spore timing is so risky. He does pay a 2 drone price for that risk. Not too bad. If that Banshee cut around the back into the main, it could have found more damage here as Cloak is done. But of course, MARU assumed if your Spore Crawler is finished in your natural, it's probably finished in your main as well. And so SERRAL gets away here with really just cutting close to the bone in terms of the greed. And that's what SERRAL's so good at. Roach Horn is the play, by the way, guys. And it is double Evo at 520. SERRAL wants to do a 1-1 Roach Roll in. No, it's SERRAL. He's probably not going to... He should do a 1-1 Roach Roll in because he's had a good defense so far. He's taken very little damage considering it's a delayed opening for MARU. Like, you're in a good position. If you get 1-1 started, Roach Speed, I think this is going to be really, even though it's not the best map for a 1-1 Roach Roll in, I think you'll catch MARU off guard. That being said, MARU's doing 5 racks, 3rd and 4th gas, double upgrades. Yeah, pretty standard stuff for MARU in the follow-up. So, whoa! Guys, ladies and gentlemen, the Space Shark has been shocked. Look into those eyes and tell me that's not a Terran player. Look at how empty they are, right? You guys see what I'm just kidding. Sorry, we rarely get to see the Space Shark. Usually you just see the shadow of it down here as it floats around the map. But if you're going into spectator mode and you do the Control-Z zoom out, you can occasionally get to see it, which is cool. Hellions going forward. 1-1. Combat shields. Oh, the Banshee's going to take some damage. Oh, good save by MARU. That was really good. He can go home, repair those Banshees. You do not want to throw those away. This is going to be what appears to be a Marine tank push. Second tank's pretty late, but I think even with 1 tank, you can cause some problems. I imagine what he should do is just put the tank down here and just deny this base as long as he can. Clear creep, and just don't push too far forward. You can even do the tank behind the rocks. There are some brutal tank pushes. Like, you can put a tank here, and then just elevate to the high ground. There's some cool stuff you can do. Lings do run in for SERRAL. SERRAL's going to go 1-1 Roach, but of course he's not going for the 1-1 Roach roll in that I was talking about. He's going for a quick infestation, which means he wants to go Hive, and he'll probably transition into melee upgrades and go for the standard Vipers, Ling Bane transition. He's also building 8 more workers, so he's going to be on 76 workers against an all-in MARU. MARU, stop building SCVs, guys. MARU is on 50 workers. MARU is completely all-in on 5 barracks right now. This is the old Spirit all-in. Spirit used to do this push all the time. But if we're doing that, why are we building 2 more tech labs? Dude, has MARU just forgotten to build workers? What is this build? Because he's not going to be able to hit hard enough and fast enough, is he? MARU, he's tried to make this look like a normal macro game. And now he's going back to SCVs after like a minute of not building workers. No, MARU. Oh, MARU's build is lacking any sharp edges, guys. So, yeah, no, that's going to maintain same criticism from game 1. There's nothing sharp about what MARU's doing here. He's kind of building SCVs. He's kind of committing to aggression. He has to go all in one way or the other. He can't just go half and half because he doesn't really have a sharp enough attack, especially against a Roach defense. Banshees are coming in. Like, tactically, good. Micro, good. Just the build order strategy-wise, I have to question what MARU is focusing on here. Heavy Marauder play is not bad versus a Roach Ravager style. Playing 3 tech labs is cute. but it doesn't really offer you a very sharp push timing. He's also not using those extra tech labs right now. And he's now gone back to SCVs, but if you're going to go SCV production, you want to do it as early as possible. SERRAL is able to now benefit off a massive economic lead. And MARU is not punishing that with anything aggressive. Yes, he's being annoying with his harassment, but this is annoying. He's killed 11 drones, but he's lost Banshees. SERRAL's on 85 workers with a hive halfway done. 2-2. He's going to play Roach Hydra Lurker. Just a very kind of solid ranged army. The Marauder count's going to be nice, but it's only 5 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. This is not that scary a push. MARU's gone back to skipping worker production now. It seems like he has decided it is a 2-2 maxed out Marine Marauder tank push that he's aiming for. Marine's picking up, moving away. It's how many tech labs? It's 3 tech labs, but he's not producing Marauders out of all of them. He's going to have to get on top of that. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for him to max out here. Triple drop on the high ground. He needs to get rid of that Spore Crawler. Tank does siege up on the low ground. If he gets rid of the Spore Crawler, that'd be good. That Spore's doing way too much damage, man. Does save a few of those Marines. Good pullback. Hydra's coming forward as well. Bile on the tank. Nice move for SERRAL. Takes it out. 6 drones did go down, but the drop got cleaned up by the Queens in the main base. Remember, there was a double drop up there? It got cleaned up. That's a big catch for SERRAL. The army moving forward. MARU has a nice position, but he is not built towards this push in an efficient manner. That Spore Crawler gets a medevac kill there. It's already put a few of the medevacs deep down in the red and the orange hit points. SERRAL wisely gives up this base. If he can flank this army from 2 sides, cut off the reinforcement, I think he can crush MARU here. He's just going to try and fight front on. That's a very SERRAL way of trying to take this fight. His Viper, first one, is now building. He's got to stop those tanks from getting too far forward. SERRAL, right now, in a bit of a dangerous position, but the numbers are so far in his favor, and the time is looking good for him as well. Right now, 2-2 kicks in for MARU. If MARU could force a fight right now, pre-Viper, that would be good, but he's going to rotate. He starts a 4th command center, starts a Ghost Academy. He needs to build SCVs as well. If MARU wants to play a longer game, he can do it, since he has knocked SERRAL back to 4 base, and he's got his own 4th coming up. But he's got to be careful. He can't take that fight. Too much Roach Ravager support for the Lurkers. Takes out a Roach. And he could pick up and try to drop around the left, but it's very dangerous because you can get zoned by Spores and Vipers on this left flank. On the right side, tanks are coming forward with the Bio. MARU with really good positioning once again. MARU's playing every game from behind, and then he's playing really well from behind. And this is the thing. If MARU could just stop falling behind, I actually think from the way he's using his army, he could be beating SERRAL here in this series. But it's still hard for him because these command centers are just so very late. 3-3s on the way. Vehicle weapons as well. Viking starting to build as a soft counter to the Vipers. Oh, Abducts could have been big there. Luckily, no Abducts on the medevacs and no Hydras. Only 4 Hydras out with Groove Spines. No muscular augments. SERRAL is a bit gassed after. At least he was. He's got 800 gas in the bank now. Viper's looking for tank pickoffs. He grabs one of them. Remember, he's only got a single Viper, so he's got to be very sparing with those. He can't be dropping parasitic bombs, needs to use them for Abducts to clean up the tanks. And SERRAL, his army's still heavily Roach. I think these Roaches would be much better counterattacking across this map. SERRAL does sneak some Lurkers in, though, which is going to make it hard for MARU to deal with. A Lurker behind the 3rd, behind the natural. Behind the 3rd, behind the 4th, and in between the 3rd and the natural. And MARU not even pulling his SCVs. MARU, what are we doing, mate? He's got to pull these SCVs out of here. He scans, cleans up that Lurker, but guys, finally pulls the SCVs away. 9 workers have gone down. Lurker shuffling to a different position. Scan does take it out. Gets itself a Marauder before it goes down, but it's already done so much damage. This one's even getting Ghost kills. It gets itself a Ghost and Marauder. Starts doing a bit more damage, and now SERRAL's finally out of his prison on his side of the map. How many tanks did he kill in all of this? Only 2, which means there are only 4 tanks. Was this single factory? Still single factory for MARU. This is what I'm talking about. MARU is not set up for the late game, guys. He's only on single factory. This command center is not building right now, which is a problem. He needs to keep his army out in position, ready to intercept the Lurker Viper counter pressure. Behind this, a swap into the melee focus with Adrenal Glands, 3-3 on the way. He doesn't have melee upgrades just yet, but SERRAL will start teching there in the near future. Lurkers on the top getting cleaned up by this Marauder flank. Lovely angle for MARU. That's a good cleanup. And I think as long as you keep this locked on 75 workers, you keep taking these bases, this is going to be a map that favors Terran a little bit more, at least on the first 5, maybe even 6 bases. It's only when you want to go to these top bases out on the very edges where the Terran needs to make a bit of a hard decision to say, okay, let's just expand to this 6th base, this 7th base, and like dominate the south side of the map and give up the north. You kind of split the map usually across the middle when it goes late game. And then if you can deny this base a few more times, this can actually end up being a base the Terran steals off the Zerg later on, but that's super optimal. That's if you're really smashing. 1 Marauder goes down. These guys are a bit too damaged. He's going to have to pull back with that drop. 4 commands and is building 2nd factory. Finally gets remembered here for MARU. That's so important. He's got to be careful, though. He's walling his own units off. He's got to move that tank. He's creating some nasty choke points. Nidus Worm, Baneling Nest. And where is that melee upgrade? He's queued up melee after +3 range. It's going to be a while until he gets the melee upgrades. I really wish in this scenario Serral had gone a 3rd Evo Chamber or skipped +3 range. As much as he's committed to range units right now, being delayed on +1, +2 melee, and +3 melee really weakens your flexibility in terms of Banelings, Zerglings, Ultras. Probably not Ultras, but definitely the Zerglings and the Banelings are a big part of your mobility later on. Nice Lurker Drop comes in behind the natural, and MARU says, get out of here, idiot. Snipes that bad boy down. Double drop sneaks into the main base. If you get a Hive Snipe, it is huge, but there are Queens nearby. Oh, the Abducts are so good. Those Marauders have to run away. Queens in the main base going to buy a lot of time. Great play here for Serral. Yes, he's going to lose his Queens. I don't know if you care too much about losing Queens as Serral. Oh, he catches all the Marauders. MARU did not click those Marauders home. He should have clicked those home, and he picks up and saves this, though. So MARU kills a bunch of Queens, kills a few drones, loses a lot of medevacs and Marauders on the right side. Units lost tab 3,000 in favor of MARU. MARU's command center count, 4 command centers. If he turns those all into orbitals, or all but one, that would be massive. He can get up to 7-8 orbitals, play a classic old school turtle game. Spore Crawler doing big damage here. This is a one-way drop here. A Parasitic Bomb will kill that medevac. And you're going to see those Marines just pick off a few more drones before they go down. The single Marauder hiding in the corner of the main base is going to hit an Extractor a few times before Serral deals with that. +1 melee, finally on the way. Baneling speed as well. We've got Neo Steel coming in. That's right, guys. Neo Steel armor gives you the cargo space in the bunkers, building armor, and of course, high-sec auto-tracking. Should be coming in a bit later as well to make the planetaries missile turrets shoot a little bit further. Lurkers spreading around this map. Serral, if it was anyone other than Serral, I'd say he needs to get a move on and do damage, because Terran is just more efficient than you in the long game. Serral's usually so much more confident in a slow, patient game than other Zergs, though. Dude, not pulling the SCVs at all is crazy. Maybe MARU wanted to free up that supply. That's the only reason I can think of there. Tanks in the open on this side as well. Wow. Tanks way in front of the planetary. MARU pulled his whole army to this right side. MARU should not be splitting his army up. I mean, he should be splitting his army up. He should not be running his whole army to one spot like this. Mass repair is so good, but the building armor is not quite there. Remember, these are the 2 armor planetaries. Those units on the south will come down, but the units on the north get cleansed. MARU trying to jump on top of this, but that's going to open up an attack path on the other side. This is a bad fight for MARU. His ghosts, remember, they're 3 supply ghosts as well, but they're just so clumped up. They're finally clearing through. Command centers going down on the right side. MARU finally cleaned up the army on the left, but at what cost? Look at the units lost tab. He's actually taking positive trades, is Serral. Serral is trading better than MARU right now, and he's taking him to Zergtown. That's not a place you want to be right now. As a Terran, that's a bad place. You should be splitting your army up better as MARU. What does that mean, guys? It means tanks spread across here on this lit ridge. It means, yep, sensor towers further forward, turrets on the edge, tanks behind it, because they can cover both areas at once, right? This wedge position here, and then you need a few more like wall-offs and just 1 or 2 tanks on this side to kind of cover that backside, and you should be okay. But MARU's just taken so many worker losses. Now he's got to rebuild them. 47 workers. Serral's creep spread sucks, by the way. He's never reset his creep spread, even though he's had map control for the last few minutes. He's going to start to do that now. Obviously losing all of his queens hurt. He's only got 4 of them. He's going to take a new base up top. Serral, he's still on mass Hydra Lurker. Yes, he's got +2 melee coming in. He doesn't really have a big Baneling army. It's 3,000 minerals, 1,500 gas in the bank. MARU is not maxed and he's not building Marines. It's the classic MARU problem. He has no Marines in this army to deal with the Zerglings. It's just a bunch of Ghosts and Marauders and a few Siege tanks. MARU not building Marines is costing him. He's got no bio in production. 2 Marines and 1 Marauder queue up. He needs a lot more than that. And the Hydra's even frenzy forward to push that command center away. MARU leaving openings. He played so well from behind in the other games. In this game, though, it feels like he's just leaving too many openings. He's getting picked apart. MARU normally famous for not F2ing, being calm and patient in these turtle situations, but it feels like he's just not as used to dealing with the mass lurker style. It's a bit more of a siege style from Serral. It's a bit slower, but it's harder to dislodge. You cannot let him get position. It's like in TVT, if siege tanks get a really good position on your base, it can kind of screw you over. So you have to make sure they don't get there in the first place. That's the big secret in TVT. A ghost for 2 lurkers, not a bad trade. The problem is, of course, there are changelings everywhere. Serral has infiltrators in the back of the base. He's got himself a Nidus Worm, and I think he's not going to show it just yet. Oh, the SCVs noticed. They noticed that one, but they only noticed that one. They didn't notice these 2. So what you want to do is you want to attack the front and at the same time pop the Nidus in the back. And yeah, that's when it's very hard for Terran to deal with. Only 64 workers for MARU. MARU is reeling. Nidus Worm goes up in the back as the army approaches on the front to distract. Serral here looking for the abducts. EMPs land. Double EMP, but only on a single Viper. Looks like they had a little bit of lag there. That's unfortunate. And the Nidus Worm in the back of the main. MARU's noticed it. But is it too late? It's going to get up. And if he sends his whole army, which he's doing once again, his whole army. Oh, because there's a lurker over there as well. He does split his army. Half gets sent here. Half gets sent to the main. He's going to lose +3 vehicle weapons on the armory. And most importantly, that allows the Hydraling Bane to roll in. Banelings taking care of the planetary. The tank getting taken down by the Hydras. What a beautiful trade for SERRAL, as he also clears up a lot of production in the main. I think it'd be good for SERRAL to actually unburrow and run away here before the snipes can land, because you've already distracted. And keeping those lurkers alive is the key. They can come back and do that same move again. Units lost tab is actually almost even. Within, what is this, 1,200 resources lost? That is amazing for a Zerg. Is the creep spread bad? Yes. Even SERRAL not spreading creep that well because he is focused on cracking the defensive nut that is MARU right now. He says, creep will matter if this game goes for another 30 minutes. I don't want this game to go for another 30 minutes. All of my focus is on finishing you right here, right now. Ghost tank, very good against lurkers. A couple of lurkers do get taken down, but the planetary there, that is such an important base. Baneling's killing so much. Doesn't get all the SCVs on the workers line, but Nidus up in the back of the main base. There's an Overseer in there. Lings take out yet another siege tank on the front. Can he get another one? Oh, Lings are so good, but not quite. Good pullback for MARU on that siege tank. MARU wants to counterattack. MARU knows this is not going his way. He's up in army supply right now. He's going to try and push it. But look at this. There's already changelings blocking the ramp. Lurkers are in his main. SERRAL just needs to survive. Oh, Vipers. Vipers in the open. They do pull back. Hydraling Bane waiting for MARU to overcommit. SERRAL's just going to go for it. He sees the armies out here. Baneling's trying to go towards those ghosts. Not quite getting on top. Good fight for MARU. Amazing fight for MARU. Does it matter though? 70 more Zerglings being built. SERRAL's got the bank. He's going to lose a base. He's going to lose a lot of drones. MARU needs more than that. Lurkers on the high ground. Are they hitting the siege tank? They are hitting the siege tank as well. Siege tank will go down, as well as the workers on that third base. MARU with almost no mining. Lings on the counterattack, cleaning up the tanks. They should be able to clear out pretty much the last bits of MARU's mining. Meanwhile, SERRAL, he's making more Banelings, and if he gets Banelings on those tanks, it's lights out. There are still 3 Vipers alive as well. All those Vipers need to do is abduct this front siege tank, get rid of it, and it's going to be a massive game changer in the next fight. Snipes on the Baneling Cocoons coming in. Great snipes here for MARU, trying to deal with that blinding cloud on the siege tank. Does go down. The Ghost pulling back, stutter stepping back. EMPs on the Vipers before they can land another blinding cloud. Beautiful micro for MARU, but he's deep on creep. He's in enemy territory. The Banelings, the Zergling count, unmatched. And SERRAL seals the deal with a 3-0. He has to work for it. But MARU, unfortunately, not able to fight back. I gotta say, these games looked a bit more competitive than Dallas. Game 1, uninspiring. Game 2 started bad, but he fought back. Game 3, he actually got into a decent position. But that first time when he just sent his whole army in one direction, and then MARU busted this base. I think this was about, what, 11 or 12 minutes. Let's kind of move forward here to about the 12 or 13 minute mark where things fell apart. And let's just break that down really quickly, because I do think SERRAL did a good job. But, like, this was good. He breaks the lurkers there. Yeah, he loses the tank to the Roach Ravager. That's all fine. I think MARU is in a pretty good spot. Now, he did make a mistake up here in the north. He should have clicked these Marauders away, right? But he sends these guys back in, gets the medevacs abducted, which is fair enough. Let's see here. And I thought he just clicked the Marauders home, but he doesn't. And I think he F2A moves them or something. Or yeah, he F2A moved. You can see he just moved his army out, and those Marauders all get killed, which is a real bummer. But after that, and then after this double drop gets cleaned up, which I didn't show on camera, by the way, so I probably should have. Those Marines get cleaned up. He goes back in the main. Spore Crawler there. You can see, like, you know, so he loses that double drop. Changelings try to come in, and I guess it was here. 15 minutes is when SERRAL does a really good sort of split push, right? Starts sieging that right side, and this is not a big army on the left. It's mostly just a pack of Roach Ravager. It's a pretty weak army, but he doesn't pull SCVs, MARU. And then he lets this Lurker slide in the right, which distracts him even more. And just an army of 4 Lurkers and some Roach Ravager find 2 tanks in the open, and they get themselves a planetary as well. And this is not something that I think should have been happening here. Losing 23 workers and a command center here. I mean, it's good multi-prong for SERRAL, but MARU left himself open to it. And he's got to be kicking himself for that, because it also led to a really bad fight here as well. Like, he lost a whole flank on the north already. These guys take massive damage, which allows these guys to come and kill another command center. And at this point, you've already got 44 dead workers, 2 dead command centers, at a point where I feel like Roach Hydra Lurker running into heavy siege tank Ghost, it felt like SERRAL should not have been in a good position. The whole problem with Roach Hydra Lurker, guys, and Vipers is it's weak to Ghost Tank. MARU had Ghost Tank on a map with a very tight base kind of design, he should have been able to defend. And this has unfortunately let this one slip by because this was his best chance to win a map and then start clawing this series back. Yet SERRAL continues his absolutely dominant streak against MARU. GG, well played to SERRAL.